Thank you very much. I thought that was a beautiful presentation by Stephen. And the takeaway for me was we've got to remove friction. And I know there's not one person in this room who doesn't want to remove friction for their customer. Is there one person in this room who doesn't want to do it? I'm sure all of us do. Now the question is, how do we do it? So I'm going to pick on the only brand he mentioned, Lufthansa. I've got nothing against them. I love them, a great airline. But if you are Lufthansa, and I hope no one in the room is from Lufthansa, but if you are working for Lufthansa in any capacity, and you just get inspired by this presentation and go, I want to remove friction, where do you start? Do you start with the billboard that you put out? Do you start because that's inconveniencing people? Do you start with the web ads that you run? Do you start looking at the 500 email templates you have? Do you start looking at your Facebook ads? Or do you look at the messages that you send? Or do you look at your app? Or do you actually go to the calendar? Do you walk into your contact center? Wait, there's another small team doing customer service cases on Twitter. Do you go to them? Where do you go? Do you go meet your flight attendants? Do you talk to your pilot? Where do you start? My problem when I talk about CX is we don't even have a vocabulary to do that. So today, I want to talk about a simple vocabulary, a framework for us to think about removing friction. We all know this. If you create great experiences with no friction, we know that your customers are going to be happier, they're going to be more loyal, and more loyal customers will reduce the cost for you to sell, market, and increase your growth. So I want to introduce to you a simple concept of what I call the digital edge of your company. You'd say, what is a digital edge? And I'd say, everything is digital. You just think about the edge of your company. Now, if you're Lufthansa, I want you to think about all your touch points. Let's pretend you own this building, and this building is your brand. All the doors, all the windows, and everything that you have. Pretend looking at all of those exits and entrances and windows, every way your customer can come in, talk to you, you can talk to your customer. And I want you to think of that as the digital edge of your brand, because every touch point has to be digital and will be digital. If it's not, it has to be wired up. The number one problem that I think most of us are going to find is no one is thinking about your edge. Everyone, if I talk to CIOs, if I talk to CMOs, they're thinking about email marketing. They're thinking about CRM systems. They're thinking about CDP systems. And I go, sir, can we talk about your edge? I go, what edge? I say, the edge is where everything happens. When your email's open, that's the edge of your brand. When an ad is displayed, that's the edge of your brand. When someone calls you, that's the edge of your brand. And nobody is talking about the edge of your brand. And that's a problem. Because all your opportunities are there, all your risks are there, all your costs are there, and you have no handle. And the problem about talking the edge is there is no edge. Today, when you look at the edge of a company, and if I'm Lufthansa, staying with the same example, if I want to see where my email templates are, where do I go? I have to go into my email platform. If I'm a multi-brand company, I probably have different email systems. And I have to look at the email system of each business unit to see what they are sending. Now, I can at best be consistent within a channel by reviewing all the templates, but how do I compare if I'm Procter & Gamble or if I'm Samsung and I have multiple appliance and electronics and they are running on different systems? How do I compare the templates from one system to another? Because I don't even have visibility. If I go to each market, markets run their own program and they're using different agencies. How do I compare what emails are being sent? How do I ensure that my brand is consistent? You can't without starting to think of all of this as a unified front office with a digital edge. So the first and foremost thing I want you to understand is we are siloed. It's not that we don't want to remove friction, it's that internally all companies, large and small, are siloed. We are siloed, if you're a big company, by business units. If you're Samsung, if you're Microsoft, if you are Pepsi, if you're Coca-Cola, if you are like Aramex, you operate in different countries. You're siloed by business units, then you're siloed by markets, then you're siloed by customer-facing functions. Marketing doesn't talk to sales. Marketing sometimes doesn't talk to advertising. Customer service doesn't talk to any one of them. Am I right or am I wrong? So how do you, just think about a consumer coming in on the other side, okay? The consumer is coming on the other side. That person, she doesn't care. You can't see that person across channels in marketing. In UAE, in Qatar, I've got 5 channels. I've got 7 channels in Saudi. Each one of those channels are powered by a different system. So she's coming as a consumer on the other side, and you are unable to see her. So if we just quickly go through this, you're a brand, you've got multiple business units. Each business unit is running in, lots of, in this region, so many different countries. If you're a global brand around the world, and you have customer-facing functions in every country, each marketing or customer service in Europe or in GCC is using 7 channels, 10 channels, 15 channels, and every system has a fragmented view of the customer. The customer is showing up with so much data. She just updated a Facebook profile, tweeted that she's just going to Dubai for the first time. No one's looking at it. That external data is lost, and each one of these teams are siloed. Now you put together all your business units, multiply it by all the countries it operates in, multiply it by all the customer-facing functions in each country, multiply it by the number of channels. This girl is having a schizophrenic view of your brand. She's coming on every door and window, and she's going like, am I talking to the same company? I'm talking to a human being, unlike the previous example, who hasn't been trained. So she's having a bad morning, or he's having a bad morning, and our customer suffers. There's friction. And you can't solve this without thinking about the edge. And how are we thinking about it today? Every company is putting together a CRM system if you don't have one. And most of you have a CRM system. And then that has transactional data. What did you buy? Some of us are putting together CDP platforms, which basically is aggregating behavioral data. In marketing, you've got a website system. Most of you have Adobe or Sitecore or something. You've got an email system. You've standardized on exact target or responses or whatever you've bought. You've got your Genesis. You've got your Avaya contact center up and running that does phone and some email. You're running surveys. You're running focus groups. And then you've got a CRM system. What we need is the ability to bring that external data into that data architecture. What people are putting out in reviews, in ratings, on Twitter, on Reddit, whatever they're putting out, you got to bring that. Know that that data is owned by the consumer, but we got to be able to listen to that person. In marketing, we need to be able to market on digital and modern channels, messaging channels. We need to do customer service on digital and modern channels. We need to get insights from that data, and we need to be able to do conversational commerce. How do we flip this? The only way to get this right is to flip the edge and put the customer in the center and have that all the channels that touches the customer come off and be orchestrated by a unified platform, and get your sales team, your service team, your feedback team, and your marketing and an advertising team in every business unit, in every country, to work off the same shared infrastructure. That's how you unify channels. That's how you bring that data that she's putting out about herself to everybody, and that's how you unify your edge. And that's the only way you can begin to have a framework for where the friction is. That's the only way you can start to get the handle on this problem. That's the way you can go from inspiration to actual moving the needle. But when you actually start thinking of customer service and marketing and research and sales, all somehow being in the same operating system, now you begin to create a unified capability to be where your customers are, learn and understand their intent, and unify your company against the need of the customer. So we at Sprinklr have 4 product suites: a service product suite, which is the omni-channel service product suite, a marketing and advertising product suite, a research product suite, and a sales product suite. And all of them is on a unified platform and a unified architecture. That's why we think this category is going to be inevitable. There are lots of customers in this room. Thank you. But what I want to do now is not talk about what we do, but bring one of our wonderful customers on board. Moe, come on board.
Thank you, Ragy. Thank you.
And I'm going to try and have him tell his stories. And all I'm going to do is ask him some prompting questions. Moe is the global CIO of Aramex. You know, I'm sure all of you at some point have used Aramex. If you haven't, you should try them. And Moe, you are an amazing customer of ours, so thank you very much for doing that. Tell us what your world in your contact center looked like before you even met us.
Yeah. Thank you, Ragy. Pleasure to be here. So, I mean, a lot of you guys in the region might have heard of Aramex or interacted with our digital touchpoints at some point. And, you know, as a company's grown, we've reached the $1.6 billion last year, and we're on a very strong path of growth. One aspect that was key for us is the frustration that we all felt, even, you know, myself coming into Aramex, about the scalability of the customer experience part. So, simplistically speaking, you know, where's my shipment? You know, I need to talk to somebody. And I mean, there's no sort of hiding about this one. If you look back at our social media in the past, you see, you know, we post a nice Christmas post, a Ramadan post, and then the first comment will be, "Where's my shipment?" So, so that was frustrating. We did at some point early on come up with the WhatsApp bot standalone, but as Ragy mentioned, our edges were fragmented. So you've had a better experience knowing where you stand with us in terms of WhatsApp, but social media is broken still, and emails and the rest of the touch points. And more so, we had to, because we go into peaks and troughs. Right now, we're going through a peak season, obviously. Scalability of our contact center is no easy feat because of the human factor of scaling it up and down. So, you know, fast forward from 2017 till last year when we met with Sprinklr and we started listening and learning about their vision. And what really clicked straight away is this, you know, what Ragy speaks about is removing the friction by focusing on unifying the edge experience. And that's huge because where we are from when we kicked off this project, you know, a couple of months into it, we've achieved amazing results where we were able to offload the contact center experience from the human side and enlist our friends, our nice robots or chatbots from Sprinklr side to work hand in hand. And this is beyond buzzwords of digital transformation and AI. This is a classic case of where we can coexist nicely with a specific AI to help us. Today, in the last actually 120 days since we've been with Sprinklr, 95% of our cases are handled by Sprinklr on WhatsApp. And that's tremendous when you look at the impact of that on our contact center and streamlining. And the better story to tell as well is that our social media, which used to be very sad to look at because, you know, we can't really celebrate a post fast enough before somebody complains about their shipment, deploying the same bot, the same tech that we have with WhatsApp towards our social media has converted a lot of these complaints into cases, and our chatbots on social media are handling about 40% of our cases, which is a huge win for us, to be honest. So we're you know, this kind of gives me a little bit of goosebumps because we were able to leapfrog a very challenging environment. You know, everybody, you know, receiving a shipment has a bit of an immediacy to it, has a bit of a instantaneous expectation of response, and that wouldn't have been possible without unifying how we go about it with a tech that allows us to be uniform on the front. So thank you, Ragy, and thank you, Sprinklr, for that.
So what you heard is Mo going from a different tool for WhatsApp, a different tool for different social channels and email and other digital channels, different teams doing it. And what they did that was brilliant is begin to unify. What is the power of that unification? Tell us, both quantitatively and qualitatively, how did that impact A, your employees and your need for resourcing, and B, your customers? You've got some amazing stats in terms of time to respond, time to resolve. So tell the audience about that.
Yeah, thank you, Ragy. So, as you said, these are three main cornerstones in terms of the customer, the experience on the call center or contact center itself, and then dealing with our the major B2B partners who we are delivering for or on their behalf, right? So it raised our consignee satisfaction. Everybody who's receiving is happily receiving now, or able to kind of inquire and find out where they are. The contact center, if you go into our contact center, it's based in Amman, Jordan. It's a beautiful view when you go in and you look at the Sprinklr screens where you see the bots hard at work in one column and you're resolving cases. And you see the ones out of the 5% that kind of punt forward into the agent. The agent is a lot less stressed and in a better state of mind to handle cases where it's truly maybe there's a problematic shipment or there's a system glitch in this 5%. So it diffused a lot of that tension. It put our employee satisfaction at a higher state, our customer satisfaction, to be honest, at a higher state. I'm no longer nervous going to social media, seeing our nice new shiny posts and seeing somebody complaining about the shipment as much. So it's and more so when we talk about the economy of what we're able to reduce. This is probably one of the most, in enterprise systems in general, it's a bit of a hard sell sometimes when you're talking about your ERP and how you're going to justify the cost efficiencies, whether it's on the financial team or HR for an HRMS or a HRIS system. But with Sprinklr, it's straightforward. We had the numbers of the consolidation of the technology, which is X amount of dollars. We had the numbers of the contact center, which is Y amount of dollars, and the differences there speak for themselves. So one of the easiest stories to tell our board, it's actually, we put in our quarterly results for Q3 as well, and that's how we're...
Well, how did it impact customers? How did their waiting time, their response time, resolution time change?
Yeah, so consignment in general, we're all, the consumer preferences change over time, right? You have a lot of this immediacy or, the urgency that's kind of imposed by delivery apps or, the psychology influences and changes. And we're no longer waiting, because customers are no longer waiting for a 24-hour response on their shipment or, a complaint that's open and not being able to respond to, because we've trained our bots very well to be able to kind of focus laser sharp on the immediate part of it. So we have instantaneous results. You want to schedule a shipment, done. You can do that. You want to find out where it's at, it's done. You want to find out where we are, it's done. These are straightforward cases that gives the immediate response for 95% of the customers that we deal with.
And so your response time, what you said yesterday was like, it's almost like 8 seconds or something, first response.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is mind-blowing. How do you go from, talk about friction, right? Asking for something and not hearing back, crickets, for hours and being responded to 8 seconds later. Last question for you, Mo. What capabilities did you need? AI, omni-channel, these are all buzzwords. And both you and I talked about how just it's so different when you actually see it magically working. So can you tell the audience about the capabilities that were important for you?
Yeah, it's really wonderful, guys. And I'm thankful to be able to present with you, Ragy, and meet your great team. So we met with the CTO of Sprinklr, and I'm a techie, so I can really delve into the technology. And the way the tech mindset behind Sprinklr is described is very powerful, right? So this is, when you talk into enterprise systems vendors, sometimes the technology is a bit of a mystery, right? But there's conscious effort towards improving AI. There's conscious effort about differentiation of why Sprinklr stands out for us. When you log into our system, you're not only seeing sort of the efficiencies and the messages that are being responded to. We're also, we use one part of, that's important, one part of the Sprinklr ecosystem, which is the social listening. So for us, that gives us, a company like us that operates across 65 countries and just on a direct ownership versus franchise, it gives us this immediacy and localization of seeing how the sentiment is across the globe. That is the most powerful thing we've been able to kind of switch on and see and kind of route it to the right country or region leaders to say, listen guys, here's the mentions that are happening. For example, Saudi, as Elon Musk joked the other day, Saudi likes to open a case to complain on Twitter as a tweet. So now we handle that. You can tweet us a complaint and we'll respond and open a case and our bot will service you. So it is pretty amazing what we've been able to do.
Thank you, Mo. So you heard Mo talk about listening to customers, using AI, understanding what the issues are, and then translating that to insights, holding the country leaders accountable, and then using a next generation customer service console and capability to respond and resolve that fast, mostly powered 95% of the time through an automated bot, which is omni-channel, which is really, truly aspirational. So thank you very much. I want to close out with a visual analogy for you. I've been thinking about, people talk about omni-channel and AI and digital edge, and it's all very confusing. I want to challenge you to have a mental image as you leave the room today. Imagine having an always open digital door that's accessible from any channel. And imagine staffing that door with a virtual agent that's standing by 24/7 for you. And imagine training that guy, the virtual agent, to do 10, 20, 30, 40, 90, 95% of the routine tasks instantaneously. Now imagine how much friction you can remove when you start thinking about this concept. And this is what the future holds for CX, at least in the short term, what you can do. And what Mo did, which was fantastic, was for a variety of channels, and hopefully you'll expand more to use our voice capabilities. We're doing full contact center transformation and replacing the legacy or the big old contact center providers. But start with digital, start with social and messaging. But when you do what he did by opening up that front door, digital door, manning it with a bot that's always on, 30-some solutions that the bot has been trained to handle. And apparently his employees, his CX customer service agents, were happy to train the bot because what the bot did was give them wings. So a person can do 5 people's job. And as that virtual agent gets smarter, your customers are going to be happier. The friction is going to be gone. So think about that. Thank you for being here, and good luck with everything.
Thank you.